Hello fellow Guardians, Weekly Reset is here once again in Destiny 2. So in this video, we're going to see what general items are available for this week. Now firstly, pick up your Bright Dust. This will be available up until the Final Shape DLC, which is upcoming very soon, so definitely make sure you pick this up. Now for the first item, we have a shader, and it's the Transcendental Ambition shader. After the first shader, we have another shader, and it's the Amethyst Bloom shader. Now, and that's all for shaders on the front page. We then have a transmat effect, and it's the Dreaming Shimmer transmat effect. Alright, after that, we then have an ornament for the loaded question fusion rifle called Powerful Statement. The next item available is an exotic emote called Rocket Stomp, and this is the last item on the front page. Okay, Guardians, that's it for the front page of the Eververse store. Now we're going to move on to the second and final page of the Eververse store. So on the other Bright Dust section of the Eververse store, we firstly have an exotic emote called Cowbell. Then after that, we have universal armor ornaments. This week it's chest, and for Titans it's the star-crossed heart. For hunters this week, we have the Vanguard Dare vest. And for the Warlock class this week, we have the Symmetrist Habit chest ornament. After the universal armor ornaments this week in the Eververse store, we then have an exotic ghost shell called the Simulation Shell. Then after that, we have an exotic ship called the Exosporangion ship. This is a very cool ship. As you can see, it has these little egregore eggs on top of it. It has the same exact theme as the Presage exotic mission. Very cool ship. After that ship, we then have an exotic vehicle called the Omen of Saturn. After that, we then have an exotic ornament for the exotic trace rifle, the Divinity, called Augmented Apotheosis. And the final item on the second row of the Eververse store, we have a ghost projection called Time Lost Projection. For the flare row, the first item we have is the Catch Flight Entrance Transmat effect. The next transmat effect we have is the Cabal Shield Breaker transmat effect. And the last transmat effect on this row, we have the Pass on Earth transmat effect. Now after those transmat effects, we then have shaders. And the first shader we have is the Spark of Joy shader. This is a very, very beautiful pink looking shader. The next shader we have is the Empirical Imperative shader. The third shader in this row, we have the Vibrant Medusa shader. And the final shader in this row will be the Metropolitic Acoustics shader. Alright Guardians, now it's time to go see what 801 has to offer this week. Now for 801, we're firstly going to look at her shaders this week, and the first shader we have this week is the House of Mayrin shader. Next shader we have is the New Pacific Sync shader. And the final shader available from 801 this week is the Dead Orbit shader. Nextly for the armor on Titans. On the Titan gauntlets, we have 2 mobility, 7 resilience, 17 recovery, 18 discipline, 9 intellect, and 2 strength. This is a good roll. It has a good amount of recovery and discipline and a small bump in resilience, so pick that up. On the chest, we have 2 mobility, 2 resilience, 24 recovery, that's massive, 6 discipline, 13 intellect, and 8 strength. This roll is alright, it has a pretty good amount of recovery and a small bump in intellect as well. For the helmet, we have 12 mobility, 10 resilience, 2 recovery, 17 discipline, 2 intellect, and then 6 strength. This roll has a decent distribution of stats. It has a good amount of resilience and discipline, but there's also mobility, and Titans don't need mobility, so this roll is alright. And lastly, on Titans for the boots, we have 2 mobility, 26 resilience, that is amazing, 2 recovery, 8 discipline, 6 intellect, and 14 strength, which isn't bad. This roll is pretty good. It has a whopping 26 in resilience, which is very nice, as well as 14 in strength. And Titans, as you may well know, like to melee a lot, so this is a great roll for Titans. Now we're going to look at the Warlock armor. For 801's Warlock armor this week, on the gauntlets we have 2 mobility, 14 resilience, 10 recovery, 9 discipline, 7 intellect, and 10 strength. This is a pretty mediocre roll. Now for the chest we have 6 mobility, 2 resilience, 22 recovery, pretty nice, 13 discipline, 9 intellect, and 6 strength. Now I'd say this is a good roll for Warlocks this week, as Warlocks do want recovery as well as discipline, and there's a pretty good amount of recovery here and some discipline as well. Now for the helmet we have 9 mobility, 6 resilience, 15 recovery, 13 discipline, 9 intellect, and 6 strength. Nothing spectacular about this roll. And lastly for the boots we have 9 mobility, 13 resilience, 6 recovery, 15 discipline, 6 intellect, and lastly 6 strength. This roll isn't too bad. It has a good bump in resilience and discipline, so not a half bad roll. We're now going to look at the last and final set of armor this week, which will be for hunters. And for the last class this week, which will be hunters, over at 801, on the gauntlets we have 22 mobility, pretty nice, 6 resilience, 2 recovery, 2 discipline, 8 intellect, and 20 strength. This is a great roll for hunters this week, as it has a pretty nice amount of both mobility and strength, which are two things that hunters love. Now on the chest we have 14 mobility, 10 resilience, 2 recovery, 7 discipline, 18 intellect, and 2 strength. Once again, this is a good roll, and I picked this up as it has a great amount of intellect and a decent amount of mobility as well. Now on the helmet we have 6 mobility, 6 resilience, 15 recovery, 2 discipline, and a whopping 25 in the intellect stat, and lastly 2 in strength. This is a good roll for hunters this week, as it has a great amount of intellect and a decent amount of recovery. And then lastly for hunters on the boots, we then have 19 mobility, 6 resilience, 2 recovery, 7 discipline, 2 intellect, and 18 strength. This is a pretty good roll. It has a nice amount of mobility and a good amount of strength as well. And that's it for today's weekly reset items this week so far, Guardians. So drop a like on this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see any more content in the future, and see you guys later.